Welcome to the end of the world, Ushuaia, the southernmost city in the world. Join our thrilling catamaran cruise as we glide through the Beagle Channel, seeking out cheeky penguins and majestic sea lions. Together we will experience the awe-inspiring beauty of Patagonia's rugged landscapes and abundant wildlife. Our Antarctica cruise has started and our first port is Ushuaia. We arrived as dawn was breaking, making a fantastic and truly beautiful sail into port. Now we are not normally up at this time, but with an early excursion we were fortunate to see the sunrise and these lovely views. Today we have booked an excursion on a catamaran to get us up close to penguins and sea lions, a key goal of this trip. We also hope to soak up some incredible landscape in the process. It is an early start, which is why we were up to witness the dawn. We went up to the Ocean View restaurant and grabbed a quick breakfast given the early meet time. As you can see, Ushuaia is surrounded on three sides by the Andes. It is the only city accessed from the rest of the country by crossing the mountain range. While there are settlements farther south, none of those are anything like the size or importance, and none are considered cities. It deserves its nickname of the end of the world. It is a centre of population, commerce and culture, and is of significant size and importance in the area.
And it looks like the gangway has now opened and we should be getting ready for our excursion. Not sure what was going on here, probably some form of service on one of the life rafts, but it was interesting to watch.
So we met up in the theatre and we were excursion number one, weren't we? Which was
that must be a real first. I don't think I've ever been excursion one. Anyway,
that's because it was early in the morning.
Yeah. Anyway, we got down, followed the lady with the
paddle.
Yeah.
We were fully thinking, all four of us thought that we'd be getting on a coach and then going somewhere to get the catamaran.
But this catamaran apparently was beside another catamaran that we had to go through in order to get there.
Just down the road, so we got on a catamaran and a different catamaran and walked across. Didn't it? It was a bit hairy actually. Yeah. And we had to duck down, didn't we?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, it was really, really windy and quite cold actually.
Yeah, well it would be, I suppose, wouldn't it?
When you've been used to a heat wave in Buenos Aires to come to
We were at the end of the earth.
Well, not quite. Anyway, but it was quite nice to get on the catamaran. It was quite nicely arranged.
Yes.
There were a couple of decks.
Yeah.
And we went downstairs.
Toilets, you could buy food, and you could even buy alcohol on board if you wanted.
Oh, I didn't see the alcohol.
Oh, didn't you? Well, it was a bit early in the morning, I thought, but yeah. Not that I drink much, but anyway. So off we went on our travels.
Yeah, and the sea wasn't too bad.
It wasn't
nice
too bad. It was a
pulling
breeze,
away.
but it was go. But, you know, it got worse.
And we proceeded along the Beagle Channel, and I think at this point it was the Argentine-Chile border. And boy, were the landscapes brilliant.
The scenery was just magnificent. I was sort of having to pinch myself that on one side of me there was Chile, and on the other side there was Argentina, and the mountains and it was just fantastic. It was just incredible.
And there weren't that many boats, were there? Or ships,
no,
you know.
It was absolutely beautiful. It really was. It was just stunning, and magnificent.
And you know what? We spent all our time outside, despite it being cold and despite it being windy.
Yeah. Well, I was wrapped up. We had our hats and coats and scarves and whatever. And I thought I'm probably never going to come back here again, and I didn't want to miss any second of it.
I've no idea how long we've been travelling. I sort of lost a bit of track of
Yeah,
time.
I couldn't tell if it was 1 hour, 2 hours, or what. I don't think it was that long.
It felt like half an hour.
Yeah, we can't remember.
Anyway, we then arrived at this lighthouse.
Yeah,
It was made of concrete.
Yeah.
Looked interesting, a bit photogenic.
Yeah.
There were a couple of
Birds
around.
that around, yeah.
And I noticed that there were an increase in the number of boats, but there didn't seem to be anything special going on here at all.
No.
A lot of seaweed.
A lot of seaweed, yeah.
And more and more birds turning up on the actual sea at that point in time. And then we sort of drifted round the
other side, or
and started to see a lot more
lot
birds.
more. So many birds in the end, actually.
I have no idea what they were, but it was like colonies of birds.
Yeah.
And I thought, really nice, but we came to see sea lions
Yes,
and penguins
lots
and
of birds. Where's the penguins? Where's the sea lions? Yeah.
Done a bit of research when we got back home. I believe that these are cormorants. As the boat moved round, slowly the sea lions came into view.
And boy, did we see a lot of sea lions, and they were so close, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, the boat went in, I suppose it was ultimately about 8 foot away from the sea lions.
Yeah, it's incredible. But what you don't realise until you get up close is, boy, did they smell.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was the birds or the sea lions, but there was an awful smell.
I think it was the sea lions.
Do you think it's
actually.
the sea lions? Yeah. But lovely to watch.
And they all seem to be sort of having family discussions,
yes,
shall we
and
say.
having the odd bicker with each other. And,
and then the bigger one would sort of rear up.
Yeah, and then everybody calmed down a bit for a bit.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Just like any family, really.
But it was fascinating to see the sea lions in their natural pose. I mean, for me, it was one of the highlights of this trip.
Yeah, it was lovely. Well, like any wildlife.
And to a certain extent, it was the thing that made this excursion worthwhile.
Yes,
I must say that when we booked the excursion, I had expected to be on land where the sea lions were, and that wasn't the case.
That might be us getting mixed up with the excursions, because we booked the excursions ages ago, didn't we? Because we didn't want to miss out. And when we did get to, in future videos you'll see, we did get to walk amongst them.
Well, not
the sea lions, no.
But
then, would you want to?
And
because
indeed,
they can bite, as we know.
quite a few of the sea lions actually had wounds, I noticed.
Yeah, they obviously bite each other and get into fights. But yeah, it was a magnificent sight.
Absolutely
to see.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well worth the trip.
But,
just
for that. But it got better, didn't it, Steve?
Yes.
And the sea lions are back over here.
I got so many.
Absolutely incredible.
So we sort of went round twice, didn't we? So we got a good old view of them all.
Yeah.
And they were fascinating, really. All sort of in groups and families, weren't they?
That was the nice thing for me, was A, seeing them in their natural habitat, and B, actually seeing the interactions between them. You know, there was one that looked as if it was actually putting its arm around its brother.
Yeah.
You know. But no, a really gorgeous experience. And
some were
well
nattering, weren't they? And it was just fantastic to watch.
Yeah. And after we'd been round twice and looked at it, we then actually moved away from, I call it an island, but it was more like an outcrop of rocks. And we started to make our way further up the Beagle Channel and basically go towards where we believe the penguins were.
Yeah.
Now, I had no concept of how long it was going to take us to do that.
No.
So I sort of stayed in situ, which probably wasn't, with reflection, a particularly wise move, because I got absolutely frozen.
Well, so did I. I stood outside because I didn't want to miss any of it. I thought I'm never going to come again. So, I stood outside as well. I mean, the scenery was fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, the film doesn't really do it justice, because it was just incredible.
But for me, the backdrop was as good as the foreground. You know.
Yeah.
I did actually wander into the cabin to try and get warm, but then I shot out again fairly quickly afterwards.
But you didn't have a lot on, actually. You had a hoodie thing, didn't you? I mean, I was wrapped up for Antarctica. I had a woolly hat, I think, and my coat and everything.
Overkill.
Well, I was warm.
So this is the southernmost lighthouse in all of Argentina. It's Les Eclaireurs Lighthouse.
Freezing but amazing.
So we're continuing up the Beagle Channel, which is a strait. It's about 240 kilometres long, and it separates the main island of Tierra del Fuego from the various other smaller islands. A lot of the islands around this area have been part of a dispute between Argentina and Chile, and those have now generally been amicably agreed and the boundary lines drawn.
Going to see some penguins in a minute, and I can't wait. Can't wait to see the penguins.
As we continue along the Beagle Channel, the scenery continues to remain absolutely fantastic. It's a really splendid scenery and backdrop. It really feels like you're part of Mother Nature, and all the time we were there we kept our eyes open, looking at the wildlife, seeing if we could see any whales or actual seals. Unfortunately, most of the time it was just birds, but it was really something to take in. One of the things that sets the Beagle Channel apart from other southernmost areas is, though it's cold, there is a large amount of forestation which you can see as you travel along. It's interesting to think that Ushuaia, which is where we started out on this catamaran cruise, in a bygone day would have been the end point for travellers, but now with the increasing interest in the Antarctica and the increasing availability of cruises to that area, it is now the starting place for those Arctic cruises. It's amazing what happens with time and how things change. I mean, the Beagle Channel itself was named after the Royal Navy survey ship, which visited the area on its maiden voyage in about 1826. So that's just under 200 years. And at that time it was carrying a very young naturalist, Charles Darwin, and he recorded seeing his first glacier in 1833. Looking at how things have changed in 200 years, things that were pushing the frontiers at that time are now opportunities that you and I can take, and it is well worth taking and enjoying because it's entirely different to anything else that I've ever done. Well, it looks like we've now arrived at where the penguins are. The number of boats has increased. As you can see, we're on a pebble beach in front of us, and there are penguins. Whichever way you look, there are penguins and more penguins. And there's that solitary king penguin at the back with his orange plumage. Can't really get my head around why there's just a single penguin here. Apparently they're quite different to other breeds of penguins. They got the longest gestation period, and also they don't waddle, they sort of hop, and they don't build nests. One wonders why you've just got one here and no mate. Maybe it's Billy No Mates. So I believe there are 3 different types of penguins here. There's the Magellanic, which has the black and the white stripes around the heads and wings. There's the Gen 2 penguin, which has a solid black and white colour, except for orange feet and beaks. And of course, there's that solitary king penguin as well. And they all seem to live together in perfect harmony. The Catamaran then moved slightly round the headland, and the captain decided to beach the Catamaran onto the pebble beach so that people could get a better view of the penguins. So the penguins come to this area to breed and are here in the spring and summer period. So about October they start to appear, and they leave at the back end of February. We're now in February, and you can obviously see the young with the more fluffy plumage or down. Actually, we both found it quite fascinating to watch the penguins and observe them, see what they were up to as they sort of made their way into the waves, and then a few minutes later jumped out and waddled back up the beach. Absolutely fascinating. So it's now time to depart and make our way back to Ushuaia. It's taken us probably an hour and a half to get to the penguins from the rockery where the sea lions were, and that was at least half an hour out from Ushuaia. So we've probably got at least another 2 hours of travelling to get back to the cruise ship. All in all, we've spent probably just a bit over half an hour at each of the locations, one with the sea lions and the other with the penguins. It's very short. I mean, we are spending quite a long time travelling to get to those locations, but overall the experience has been fantastic. It has been so worthwhile and so much more than we could ever have hoped to see these lovely animals, lovely birds in their natural habitat and in such a superb backdrop. It's been brilliant. So on the journey back, the weather started to get a lot windier and the seas a lot rougher. Indeed, the sick bags had to come out for quite a few of the passengers, albeit that our party wasn't that badly affected. We didn't really feel steady enough to walk around the cabin as we were making our way. I think we were a little bit thankful to get back onto dry land, but it was still mega windy and it was coming straight down the pier as we made our way back to the ship. Didn't do much for the hairdo, I must admit. It gave us that wild, unkempt look as we made our way back. We were both pleased to get back into the ship and into Lumine, where we had this delightful tuna taster. And I followed that up with a rib-eyed salad starter, which I must admit was absolutely delightful.
What is it?
Mushroom ravioli with asparagus. It's like a spinach ravioli wrapped in a spinach leaf.
Is it? Looks nice. And this is the seared tuna steak.
Yes.
Yes, please.
And we both opted for the same dessert, which I believe was a vanilla brulee type dish. Very nice. We loved our time in Ushuaia, but it was time to go and get to our next stop. Well, it's not so much a stop, but a passage. So Cape Horn and then Drake's Passage.